Where are you? Wave at me. So
Yeah. Just look ahead. Just look
Right,
straight
yes.
ahead. No one will know.
And you'll say when? He already said when. Right. Renee, it's good to see you again. It's been a while. You're looking good for a mother of a 2-year-old.
Yes, I guess.
How's that going?
Oh, he's just starting into his terrible two, so everything is no, and I can't take him anywhere now because before I would ask him to come back to me and he would, and now he just looks at me, smiles, and just takes off. So, yes, that's why I'm here without Miles.
Miles, that's why we're doing that.
He'd be just tearing everything down.
So in between taking care of your growing 2-year-old, what have you been doing?
I just finished a digital film called Diamonds and Guns.
And what does that refer to?
It's a takeoff Guys and Dolls, which means nothing because it has nothing to do with the musical Guys and Dolls, except that it's the male and female and sort of a farcical look at love, I guess. So that's their spin on that.
And the plot in a bit of a nutshell?
How do you find true love in Las Vegas? I don't know. That's tough. It's interesting. It's about basically a lady from New Zealand and her American friend, who I play, and we travel to Las Vegas because she's going to be deported in a couple of days. And basically we both find true love in a mixed-matched, farcical, in one door, out the other door style of comedy, I guess.
And this is the producers and writers of this show. This is their first feature film?
It is.
And their names are?
Well, Dawn Higginbotham wrote a short film, and that's where she found Helena Bevan as an actor on it. And then they basically just fell in love with each other and loved working together, so they decided to make a short film again. And they made a short called Extra Extra. And then they decided to go ahead and jump into their first feature. And Helena had read this book by Robert Rodriguez, and it was basically about how you figure out what aspects of a feature you have, and then you try to put the whole thing together. So she knew that she had a friend who owned the Riviera Casino, as you do, you know, and thought that she could film there, and knew that she wanted to work as the lead actress in it, and then basically pulled together other actors she had from her scene class and created this story. Then she gave it to Dawn, and Dawn wrote the whole thing.
So you were filming in the Riviera Hotel?
We filmed at the Riviera.
Right.
It's crazy.
What parts of the Riviera of the hotel did you film?
Where did we film? We filmed in the wedding chapel, of course. We filmed in the casino, which was interesting because it's the only place in Las Vegas where you can actually film in a casino. That's where they filmed the movie Casino with Sharon Stone and anything else you ever see in Las Vegas. So they were pretty strict. You have to be careful about, you know, not filming any games that are going on. They only gave us certain areas where we could work, and we had to be finished by 8 o'clock in the morning. And of course, we have our big scene at the end, and it's 10 minutes to 8. We haven't even started, right? Oh, the horror. And the security guard's just, you know, tapping his watch to Dawn Higginbotham. But we did it.
So you were filming nights?
Days and nights. We had to film at night in the casino because there were too many people during the day. Too many children in a casino nowadays, you know?
Really?
Yeah, you know, it's Disney-esque in
Yeah.
Las Vegas.
I thought they were trying to change away from that.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
Because first it was Las Vegas, and then it became the Disney version where they're bringing in, you know, MGM Grand with the roller coasters in the back, and then you've got the pirate ships in front of Treasure Island. You have all these attractions at each casino, and I think eventually people started bringing their families, but now they're trying to go back to what they used to be. So now the motto for Las Vegas is, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Do you believe that? Right. So that became our running joke. Well, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. It was a really bad take, but that's okay. You know?
Whatever we do here,
we'll
no
leave
one
it here.
will know.
Yeah. So it was fun.
So now this was filmed on digital.
On digital.
Digital film. Your first digital film.
My first digital film.
Yes. How did you find it different?
Well, let's see. Over the last couple of years since Xena finished, I've been interested in digital filmmaking. So I've been going to boot camps at the Directors Guild and playing with the camera with a friend of mine who I met at the Austin Film Festival. So I've been trying to research how people like me, who are first-time independent producers, can create a feature film for very little money and yet have some creative control. So that's where I started. And then I ran into Helena Bevan and basically became inspired by her because she's doing everything that I want to be doing. You know, she's making her first film. So I thought, well, why not go ahead and come on board, have a great time, you know, with these people, and learn from them. And I definitely did, you know. It was great.
Does it, there are physical aspects that are different in digital, and also are there acting?
Acting, for digital filmmaking, it's very inexpensive basically to run the camera because the tape doesn't cost as much as film, so you can have as many takes of an actor as you want. So if you don't like something, you just keep going, which is ironic because on Diamonds and Guns, we only took 1 or 2 takes in every scene. Sometimes 1 take and only 1 setup, so you're really kind of forced to choose with what you left on the day. But no, the benefit of working with actors is that this camera is very small. You can run it all day without having to worry about, you know, using a lot of film, which is expensive.
Did you wind up doing like any guerrilla shooting?
Yes.
Yes. And perhaps what were you doing? Was that in Vegas or Los Angeles?
Where did we start? There's some guerrilla shooting in Los Angeles, Hollywood Boulevard. We were filming what's supposed to be outside the INS building, and it was very amusing because I'm so used to working on Xena, where everything is supplied and prepared, and I didn't really realize going into our day of filming outside this building that we didn't have a permit. So we basically had to take everything as soon as a parking man came by, throw it in the car, drive off, come back around, reset the shot, and start over again. Isn't that crazy? I know. I walked away thinking I've been so spoiled because I've been in all these productions where everything is just
legal.
Legal, yes, thanks. And I had such a great time. I can't tell you how much fun I had. I was like, yeah. The first thing I knew was like, Renee, you gotta drive. What do you mean? But wait, we're setting up the shot, right? No, you gotta drive. Like, all right.
Hit the pedal. Yes.
The pedal. So there were a few instances like that, but basically everything was covered through permits because we were mostly filming at the Riviera and, you know, had union people there and everything was legitimate, you know.
Did you have to make any changes in the script because of the type of filming or where you were filming? You said there were changes. Mm-hmm. There are always changes, you know, from the script when you finally get on set. Were there any that were dictated?
Because we're filming digitally?
Yeah, digitally or the...
No, I mean, like Annie said, you just find that some of the beats are repetitive. So we found that we would cut that out because this is a script that has an energy about itself. And I found that we had such a great ensemble group of actors working together that it took on a life of its own. So if you felt that there was a beat that was dragging and you'd already covered, we would cut that and move on.
And you did a lot of rehearsing.
We did.
Yes. Yes.
We the week before we left for Las Vegas, we all came together and rehearsed our individual scenes with the director. So that basically saved us because we were shooting 9 or 10 pages a day, which is a lot for television. And the reason we were able to move on so quickly is because we already knew exactly who the characters were and our relationships to each other. And everyone felt comfortable, so we just did it and moved on.
And would things change in rehearsal as well?
Not so much in my scenes.
Okay.
There were a couple... there's a physical bit where my character, she's just a free spirit. You know, she loves life and doesn't really have a care that there are any consequences to any of her actions, which I thought was so funny. So she has this one moment where she's on her cell phone, and all she's worried about is trying to get the cell phone with the cord fixed, but then she's not driving, but there are these huge trucks coming at her, so she's going off the road, and then the cord gets tangled up in the steering wheel, and she's trying to get the reception. That's all that matters, is that it's an important call from the hotel, the Riviera Hotel, so she's trying to get that, and yeah. So basically, that was one aspect that hasn't happened to me yet, and I didn't know how I was going to get that to work and make it look realistic, but
with all the phone calls,
worked out,
with all the times that we've talked when you've been in the car, you haven't gotten tangled
That's
up in your car.
That's because I don't use a hands-free. Right, this is me, Sharon. Hey. Sharon's like, just put your hands on the wheel. I'm like, okay.
You had fun with that physical comedy.
Oh, of course, yeah. I always loved the physical comedy. That's what I loved about the character. Again, she's a free spirit, and she she has the food poisoning, which I thought was a funny running gag.
Yeah.
And then she is given Valium by the male doctor, the nurse.
Nurse.
Everyone calls him a nurse. She's like, no, I'm a male doctor, right? I mean, a male nurse, sorry. Male nurse. And he gives her Valium because he basically doesn't know what he's doing to help her food poisoning. So then she's a bit, sloshed, I guess. I had never had Valium before, so again, at the read-through, I was asking everyone their opinion of, how relaxed do I get?
Good.
And I was amazed at how many people said, oh, it doesn't affect you at all. It's like, oh, really?
You had a lot of people who had experience.
Yeah. It's like, oh,
right?
you have 6
Yeah.
and it doesn't affect you.
Yeah, see, that's the part when I was reading the script, that's the part that I thought, oh, I can't wait to see this.
I really wanted to have more fun with it. But my character, again, it's one aspect of a moving train. And so we had to, not allow me to get too crazy because then I had to come back and actually function with the rest of the cast. So there were a couple moments where I was a bit goofy, but mostly, like there's this one moment that probably won't make the movie, which was just a whim. But we're filming in the hallway of the casino, and there are all these shops along the way, and there's this one little shop with these porcelain dolls that are about maybe 3 feet high. And they're, the curls and the little bonnets in their hands, So we were waiting, and I said to Chris, this is pretty funny. Look at this, how bizarre. And Helena said, yeah, why don't you stand there and sit with it? And my character's supposed to be on Valium waiting for her friend. So we did an ET shot where I'm sitting there with the dolls, and people were walking by, and basically I thought it was funny. It wasn't funny enough to make the show, so.
Oh, darn.
Dang.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, your character does seem to be
Sorry.
rather whimsical. We don't want to give away any of the good parts of the movie, but I do know that she has an encounter with a piece of
A mechanical
bathroom porcelain, shall we say? But I don't want to give that part away.
You sure?
But
She's never. My character Ashley has never seen a bidet before, and her. She said, "What is this? What is this for?" And her friend says, "Well, it's what Europeans use to,
do whatever they do. After they're
so
doing what they've
Ashley
done.
took that to a whole nother extent, and thought, well, okay, I can wake myself up with this. So that was an interesting little moment there. That again, when I read it, I went, ooh, I don't know, But it was very well done because all you see is the character looking at the bidet, thinking, and then they cut to 2 tourists walking down the hallway, and you hear Ashley just having so much fun.
That's how I did it, because I said there's
The Meg
dialogue
Ryan
there.
at the deli,
Oh, God.
Can you believe it? I know. It's like, woohoo, why not? It's kind of fun.
Oh, it's great. I was reading this book about Robert Rodriguez, which is really fascinating, that he would do the editing in his head ahead of time to cut down on the number of takes.
Right.
And
That's always nice to work with the director who knows exactly what material he needs and
Right.
storyboards it in his head,
Was Chris
Especially
like that?
Actually, yes, Chris did storyboard quite a few of the scenes, but then more than that, we rehearsed beforehand. So
Right.
he knew what to expect in our rehearsals. He even said where the camera was going to be and what coverage he would need.
Right.
There you go.
You've developed skills as a makeup and hairdressing artist.
Yes, haven't I?
And who have you done lately?
I just did Sharon Delaney.
And did she do a good job? Sharon's just staring right into the camera.
Yes, did a great job. Again, the whole new world of independent filmmaking, anything goes. The makeup artist didn't show up the first day, so we're basically in Las Vegas calling around trying to find someone who can come in. They walk down to the hair salon, the barber shop, and the guy looks like Elvis. We're saying, can you come do our makeup?
And you sure you want him?
Yeah. So that didn't work. Then they basically said, okay, we're all going to do our own makeup for the day, and we're going to find someone for tomorrow. So I think I had the least amount of makeup in my purse, and I still started working on everybody and trying to use what I learned on Xena, I guess, And then I was assigned the role of makeup artist whenever I was on set. So basically, how it worked is that whoever was paired up to be on the first call, the girl would typically do the guy's makeup. So, that's how that worked. Which means that Helena and I did all the makeup for the guys.
Is it any different doing makeup on men than on women?
Well, they don't really like the mascara so much. And the pink.
Tone it down.
Yeah, the pink on the lips wasn't their favorite. But I did try to get away.
Don't make the cheeks too
The
rosy.
first time, the character I was working, the guy, is actually Jed, who plays Francis. He was kind of nervous because I just kept laughing. He's like, "I don't think I want you doing my makeup, right?" Because I'm putting eyeliner on him, and anyway, I actually made it look pretty decent. It wasn't that as bad as I'm making it sound. Yeah.
Wasn't as bad as it seemed from his end of it?
Yes, especially because I'm laughing,
Right.
No, it sounds like this just crazy scene, but it worked really well. Yeah. I swear.
You were talking about, the fact that you're only taking like one take of something or just two takes of something, and you're also a director. So does that? Is there ever like a conflict? Is there a little director voice inside you, kind of shouting to get out?
Mm-hmm. A few times, I was really nervous because again they only had one setup, one take, especially for my scenes with the Jed who plays Francis. And I thought, oh, I don't know, you sure you don't want to go again? Or a couple times I would just make a little suggestion, and then I thought, no, it's not my place. This is Chris Dollard's film. And, just be the actor, walk on and say your lines. And so that's what I did. And I think it's going to be good.
I've heard in some interviews that an actor, if the scene isn't going well, they'll make a mistake on purpose so they get an extra take out of it. Do actors really do that?
I don't know, probably. I don't know. The only actors I've seen before are actors that don't like what they're doing, and they'll just kind of go, oh, you got to cut that, But that's just so frustrating, I think, because you just need to go ahead and move ahead and pray, I guess, that the director's going to cover your bum and take out the best pieces,
In the previous interviews, we've talked about comedy. You were doing some sitcom classes and sitcom auditions. And that kind of 1, 2, 3 punchline, 1, 2, 3 punchline didn't particularly feel comfortable for you.
Well, it just felt strange because, especially for these meetings, you're in with a huge group of people and you have to set up the line, dun, dun, boom, or someone else sets it up for you. I don't know. But it just felt so artificial for me. And I know people are really good at it. And I know it takes a huge talent to be able to deliver that sort of line reading. Truly, I have so much respect for, the whole cast of Everybody Loves Raymond. They're just, bring it out so quickly. Anyway, but obviously it's not my talent. But I'm better at the situation comedies where it's based in characters who are doing things in their everyday life and it's just a bit absurd. So
like the thing getting tangled up in the phone cord
in the car,
or dancing in the car,
right?
Doing a little practicing on the way.
Or like for instance, we were filming the end of the movie where my character actually does her big dance audition, and I had a little stumble, so it would just be perfect for me and my character to take a big fall, Here I'm in this great showgirl outfit and boom, and I'm out. So that's just something that comes very naturally.
Yeah, it just occurred to me, if you're taking this fall and it isn't written in the script, is there something to fall onto? Normally
no. This was luckily, they weren't before they were actually rolling. And it wasn't a big fall, but I was like, oh, I'm not used to wearing heels, and these things were just,
really high?
Tall. Oh, yeah.
What size heels have you got on now?
Maybe like an inch and a half.
Inch and a half? Oh, okay, so you're not really
These must
used
have been
to
like, I don't know.
Wow.
I couldn't walk, much less dance.
Was that what Ashley? Oh, we never did say the name of your character.
Ashley.
Last name?
I knew you were going to ask me that. I didn't know, and at one point, I think it must have been like 4 o'clock in the morning on the night shoot that I had to do, and I think I made up a last name from someone, but again, I don't remember now. Okay.
So it's Ashley who would wear those big, tall things, or were they trying to make you look taller? In other words, you were playing off this guy Francis. Was he a particularly tall fellow?
Yeah, they were all pretty tall, but this was mostly for the dance. My character is auditioning for cats, so she thinks, but it turns out to be kittens. And I had this great sort of furry cat showgirl outfit on with the big showgirl headpiece, but they were cat ears and a tail, and I had the shoes, So it was amusing, I mean, how often do you get to wear something like that? Nor would you want to ever wear it again. but yeah.
Not too much in real life.
No.
So Ashley was someone who thought she was auditioning for the Broadway show of Cats and wound up the Vegas show of Kittens.
Right.
Have you ever found yourself auditioning for something that was different from what you expected?
That's a good question. No, I think you have a pretty good idea of what you're auditioning for. The final result is different from what you expected, but that's because there's so many people who have a hand in how it's going to look, the director, the producer, the editor, for television or film. So that's always a surprise to see the final product. But no, especially with Xena, I had a pretty good idea of what we were doing and what the genre was.
Have you been, in the auditions that you've been going on since then, have you found yourself going up for, knowing the part ahead of time? For
Right.
instance, it might be what I'm leading into now, and I'm not quite making it right. Was leading to the fact that you wound up doing the audition? Was it a Caribbean Street Girl?
What?
I mean, you told me about in the parking lot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I'm trying to think of how to phrase that question.
Right.
You wound up, you basically, for a part
Yeah.
of what would have been an ethnic woman, and I said, "Have they
Yeah.
seen you, white girl?"
Yeah. You're talking about Sharon?
Yeah.
Come on. No, well, it's been interesting, I guess, over the last year since I actually have started to get back to meeting people again, that no one really knows what to do with me because I've been, meaning that, does she do comedy or does she do drama or does she do action? Everyone's confused. So so I've been going out for a lot of different parts that I'm just not right for at all. One is it was like a 45-year-old professor of Shakespeare. Okay. Another one was this a Polynesian street girl that lives in Hawaii, and she wasn't like a rapper, but she was really street, like tough as and
And did they notice you weren't Polynesian?
yeah, unfortunately, yeah. So just strange parts. I guess it's great because you have the opportunity to at least meet people and
You never
try
know
to
what,
break a mold a bit.
You never know what comes out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had said that at some of the roles that or some of the projects that you were being asked to participate in contained creature work.
Uh-huh.
And when I did the print interview, I just assumed you meant you were working with a blue screen and that you had familiarity with that so that you'd be a good person to
I
do
see.
it.
Right.
But no, you actually meant creatures?
Yes. One opportunity was to work on a television movie with aliens, which I can't even remember what they look like, actually. It's been a little while. And then the other one was to participate in an action duo with insects that went through the New York subway. So, no, these were large creatures. And again, the creatures were multidimensional and the characters weren't, So I'd keep sort of waiting to find something where the characters, especially the women, are going to be strong or intelligent or funny or something, where you're not just playing the damsel in distress or something.
That's ironic. The insects were three-dimensional.
Oh, yeah, I thought that was
and
very
not the
funny.
humans.
Yeah.
At any point, did anyone notice that this was Gabrielle wandering among them?
Actually, when I first arrived, I went and got a cup of coffee at this little cafe thing, and the lady, they were so nice. She's like, "Wait a minute, I know you." So that was sort of the first little bit, but then later, I sort of made a little spectacle of myself, I guess. We were eating every lunch at the food court, and we had a selection of La Salsa or Pizza Hut or Burger King. So Helene and I kept going over to La Salsa. We're trying to be good and, have our little chicken salads. And but there's an arcade right there in the food court. So every time we finished our salad, we would go into this little machine where you stomp on the squares to keep up with the song. So basically, you put your coins in, a music starts, and they show little arrows. A little arrow going up, and that means you stomp forward. A little arrow going to the side, you stomp sideways. And you're supposed to be in sync with each other. And we were so awful that people kept coming by and just looking at us, shaking their head and walking away. And before I knew it, a really sweet young man realized I was Gabrielle and had no coordination whatsoever. So we did that basically every day at lunch. We had our little music venue. And then I discovered other machines that I would play. I like to play the games in these.
Yes. Were you ever playing those machines when you weren't supposed to?
Well, kind of. Yes. It was just a random thing, actually. We finished lunch, and I thought, oh, I'll go on up early and, get changed back into my costume and before everyone else gets up there. So I'm wandering along, and I suddenly notice that there's this little simulated 18-wheeler truck ride that I could sit in, and I could actually be in a race where I could be a truck. So I just thought that was hilarious because it was this huge, huge machine, and I could just let the redneck in me come out, and I could do the shifting of gears, and so I'm having a great time. And little did I know that the whole crew and cast are walking by, and they spot me. And to my horror, they're all standing there laughing and taking photos, and yeah, I was caught.
You got
I
caught
caught badly.
big time. The Texan couldn't resist that
I loved
18-wheeler.
it. It was like this magnet, come to me, Renee.
Oh, God.
18-wheeler ride.
So I think I'll jump ahead. You did some dancing in this.
Yes.
Yeah, these two girls, they sound a little bit like Hope and Crosby on the road.
Yeah. Basically we start in Los Angeles and then we drive through Vegas and then we're going to do another road movie going to Mexico. And then after Mexico, we're going to go to New Zealand.
Oh, really? Uh-huh. So you've got this scheduled out.
Uh-huh. And after New Zealand, we're thinking, oh, maybe Texas or New York.
Huh.
Then, there's just the rest of the world. So we have a few more places we can fit in.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping, Oh, and the next one, my character has a dance-off with another girl.
So you had to do a dance in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Preparing for it ahead of time, did you work with a choreographer?
Yeah, well, yes. Again, this was sort of a very independent film. There were a lot of favors. So I called my friend in New Zealand, who's a dancer and choreographer, and I said, I have this part, and she's auditioning for Kittens, so it's supposed to be sort of sexy, but yet she thinks it's cat, so it has to be legitimate as well. So can you help me with this? And I ended up going to New Zealand in the middle of the shoot, which was ideal because I was able to work with my friend. And so she gave me this very elaborate, 2-minute piece that I completely forgot on set.
Right.
Little did I know that I couldn't remember what she had in mind, and the tail that I was wearing was too long and kept hitting the brick wall, and my heels were too high, so I couldn't turn. So I just kind of just boogied,
Was this supposed to be some kind of flash dance type number?
What was it? It was sort of a bit of like a Bob Fosse kind of sultry cat-like stretching and then grooving and stretching, But
Do you remember any of it?
I don't. God, I said I can't do it without any like what do I? Oh, like let me see.
We can give you a beat.
Can you give me?
Yeah, give me a count.
Oh, I don't know if I remember anything.
How
Oh, yeah, she
fast?
started like.
We'll clap. We'll have the crew clap. All right.
Well, so basically she kind of like did this thing, right?
Da.
And then she kind of turned, and I had these big ears, and then she slides, and then it's like a real cat-like boom, cat-like turns, and then like pirouette, and that's where I slipped, and then my tail kept hitting the, yeah, it didn't go that well.
So you wound up making up the steps on the day.
I basically just thought, okay, I only have about 30 seconds of this that they're ever going to use, so let's just, that was it.
Do we have to take that moment again? I don't know if the camera caught it, but I gotta.
I know.
Phil will protect her.
Okay.
obviously, so
Okay.
maybe-
You sure?
The discussion was cool.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
don't
I know.
I don't want to lose what she's saying, but actually I think it was. Is it just a slip? Is there a slip under there?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Okay. And I thought
No, you're fine.
gotta protect her.
No, you're fine.
Don't come around.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's right. We can keep the audio. Okay.
Been preserved.
No, this is what you do. You cut your shirt and go.
That's one of my reactions.
And anyways, yeah. Oh my God.
Cool move, Renee.
We'll work on that one.
So.
Turning as red as your shirt.
Yes, I know. And of course she mentions this, and now I get redder. So I gather you didn't have to use any body doubles in the dance sequence. You did it all
no
yourself.
body doubles. And I was even my own driving double. As I was talking about before, my headphones getting caught up. So we had to have some shots where the camera's behind Ashley and Bria. and looking at the trucks. So I was doing all the stunt driving. So I know, it was great. So the huge trucks were going to Las Vegas on this little deserted highway, and I just kept, inching over, waiting, and then I just swerved back, and then I was supposed to go in the other direction. And I had this strange sense of confidence, which I probably shouldn't have had, because I just kept letting the car go towards this telephone pole, and then Donnie, our cinematographer, went, "Ah!" I was like, okay.
That was your cue.
That one worked. But yeah, I was truly safe. I wouldn't have put anyone in jeopardy, but yeah, I got Donnie. He was a little closer on the side to the pole, so I figured, yeah.
Now, I've peeked ahead in this script here, and you have an intriguing costume when you finally put it on. Or
The
what there is of it.
kittens costume. Oh yes, it's a great scene. Isn't it cute?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we do scenes like this? This is Vegas. Where were those plumes?
Again, talking about being creative, and I guess because besides just acting, they kept bringing me on to help out in other aspects, So I, not really a producer, but I kept doing other things that would help them, like, with the editing. Last night we were editing the trailer. So for the costumes, everything was taken care of up until the showgirl outfit. And I said, well, why don't you let me take care of this? So I basically went to Vegas and had a fitting with a lady who does showgirl outfits on the Strip. She was fantastic. And I said, okay, here's the joke in this scene, I don't know if I can give it away, but basically there's less costume than what Ashley had imagined. So I said, well, what we need to do is help with the joke and then actually give me something that I can wear for the dance. And so we worked together for maybe, like an afternoon. And then, well, lo and behold, it's in the movie. It was fun. It was fun because I learned all this on Xena, just listening to the costume designers and the fittings, trying to figure out, how do you cheat things for the camera? What can you get away with? And so I thought, okay, well, we could do this. This is easy.
So where does this movie go from here? What happens to an independent feature now?
Right. Yeah, it's been interesting because it's a whole new experience for me. But what happens to a lot of films is that they try to go into the film festivals. Some get attention and some get picked up by distributors. Maybe they go to a theatrical release. Maybe they go straight to video. And then there's the graveyard of what can happen to your film. So we're hoping that that we'll get into one of the festivals. But if not, we're hoping that this will be a stepping stone to get some attention for the next film. And the next film has the same group of characters, and it's a little bit bigger and funnier, more action. And it's, again, a road movie, so this one's going to be set in Mexico. So we need, we need to go up to the next step, and this is one way to do that, to show them that, yes, we can make a film for very little money and make it look good and funny, so.
And you were a redhead for that movie, and you're a blonde now.
Yeah, I'm a blonde now because I'm about to do a reality extreme. That's the name of the movie, but it's a mockumentary based around reality TV shows. And unless it changes, I think I'm playing the producer's wife who tries to take over the show. So that should be fun. But you never know. It might change again. And then I'm probably going to do another little television movie that's coming up that does have a creature in it. But it's a great chemistry between two characters. So I thought, yeah, this is the one.
Two well-rounded characters.
Two well-rounded characters. Yeah. So blonde again. They asked if I would be blonde for both of those. Everyone has an opinion about whether I should be red or blonde. That's what's funny. Everyone comes to me, oh, I think you're, much better as a blonde, Or no, I can't see you as a blonde anymore. I like the red, Yeah.
So would you go back to being a redhead again?
I love being a redhead. I don't know, there's just something about it that just suits me. Maybe it's a fiery O'Connor Irish heritage. But I would love to be a redhead. However, it was so difficult going back and forth that I'm happy to stay blonde. It suits my life to be easy. And I'll only go back to red if we do the Diamonds and Guns, a sequel.
So I'll have to do another interview to catch you into being
I'll be a redhead.
Again. Okay. Renee, thank you so much. This has been great.
Fun.
And can't wait to see the movie.
Yay.
I think we're out.
Surprised.
Is that Is that an ending?
Yeah.
Yay!
Everybody.
Enough.
Okay, now.
Cool.
Yeah. But hang on. I think we should do the opening question, the sit-down question. Here we are, it's been a year. No, just, it's going to be really nice to be able to cut these together in the opening.
Okay.
So,
Because you
Yeah.
establish
yeah,
both.
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I just remember what that opening thing is. Renee, it's good to see you. You're looking great for the. Oh. I'm starting to act. I'm not
Yeah,
an
she
actor.
looks good.
Just,
Yeah.
just the way you did it.
Right. Renee, you're looking great. Oh. So, what is the title of this movie? And can you explain this plot in one line or less?
You guys don't break down to a giggle fest.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Renee, it's good to.
And you are so bad.
When I was using my hands, when do they go into the camera?
Sharon, you have to be careful.
You just sit on that
It's
hand.
fine.
Okay. Renee, it's good to see you. Oh no, I got it this time.
We're doing this all day.
Oh,
We're going
gosh.
around.
Right. Yeah, we didn't know you'd been interviewed by Ted Raimi, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I have to flash you.
Yes, I was gonna say the only expression we don't have is being.
You got it now.